Welcome back, y'all. So I think at this point, we all know how intense the Royale community is. On one side, you have the super diehard fans who will defend the game with their lives. And on the other side, you have the hater fans that keep playing, but clearly don't like the game anymore and find every reason to hate on it. Now, as someone who's made multiple videos criticizing Royale and their decisions, this latest issue is not as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. If you've been on Royale TikTok or Twitter recently, you've most likely seen the term code rotting more times than you can count. Literally every other video or post is about the Royale code rotting situation. Before we start, please do not send hate towards the developers or anyone mentioned in this video. Or in other words, keep it cute or you'll get the boot. Now for those wondering what code rotting is, it's basically when software decreases in quality and usability over time. As many of y'all know, Royale has 4 different campuses. Campus 3 and 4 are the most recent ones. However, Campus 1 and 2 were made way back in 2017, 2018 during the inception of Royale. While these campuses are almost a decade old, a portion of the OG community still plays it and actually prefers it over the newer schools. Now, even though the older campuses have lasted for years, recently TikTok users started posting videos showing how Campus 1 and 2, as well as older Royale realms, have slowly began to code rot. There's been a ton of videos showing different bugs and glitches across multiple realms, such as the UI being broken, food in the cafeteria glitching, and this kind of creepy music looping in the apartments. People have also been talking about Sunset Island rotting away, but okay. Sunset Island has had a couple of bugs for a while now. I've been glitching into the runway since 2024. I'm not sure if they fixed that issue, but according to TikTok, apparently it got worse. Now, while I do think it's fair for players to point out bugs and glitches and be upset about it, I feel like the term code rotting is a bit of a stretch, in my opinion at least. It would be different if these older realms and campuses weren't being updated for years and years. But from my understanding, older parts of Royale still receive maintenance updates. Otherwise, these realms would be unplayable or completely destroyed. In the past 9 years, Roblox has released some major updates that have been game-breaking. So imagine with all these new Roblox updates coming out every month, OG Royale was bound to start messing up. But the question is, are these issues actually noteworthy? If I'm being honest, none of the issues that people are complaining about make me go, oh yeah, this game is dying. Don't get me wrong, some of these issues can be annoying, but it feels a bit malicious to label it as code rotting. It makes it sound like the game is just completely falling apart. Editing me here. I know some people are gonna be like, well, bugs is the game falling apart. But I guess what I meant is for me, code rotting is when you can't play the game at all, or it's genuinely not working. I don't see code rotting as a few bugs here and there. I guess I'm thinking it's literally broken to the point nobody can join or nobody can play anything. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Okay, back to the video. Now, I do want to be fair. I don't think that every single TikToker or Twitter user who's been talking about this is being hateful. I do believe some of these players are big fans of OG Royale and they play it very frequently. But on the other hand, there are people making these videos and posts for engagement, which isn't new. I feel like there's a lot of people in the community that do this. Like I mentioned earlier, they're hater fans. Now, I have seen some people on Twitter calling out this behavior since the situation started getting out of hand. One tweet says, I can't stand Royale TikTokers right now. The Royale developers have been fixing the bugs, and all the bugs that are quote-unquote rotting are so small. Calling the devs lazy over the smallest bugs, just leave if you're upset over the smallest things. And the next tweet says, you know what I don't understand? The people who are saying Royale is rotting, Royale is dying, they don't even care about old maps, are the same people who quit and said they disliked the game, or the same people who never played it at all. People just love to hop on the hate train. I do want to add that it's one thing to criticize a game you play, but it's another to prey on its downfall constantly. And yes, there is a difference. Not everyone criticizing Royale hates the game and wants it to fail, but those types of people do exist. Now, I was genuinely curious to see how bad the quote-unquote code rotting was, so I joined Campus 2. It's honestly been so long since I last played it. I'm not an OG Royale player or anything. I started in 2023, but I have gone into these older campuses and realms just to look around. Usually when I join older realms, it's kind of empty. There's maybe 3 or 4 people in the server with me, so y'all can imagine imagine my shock when I looked at the player count for Campus 2 and it said 1.5k players. That's absolutely insane. The max I've ever seen Campus 2 have is 200 players. It sounds crazy, but all the negative attention around Royale High code rotting seems to have brought Campus 2 back to life. I will mention that while scrolling on TikTok, I did see some people in the community talking about playing in the OG maps again. One of the comments I found says, "What if we all just played Royale High in the OG maps just to feel a sense of nostalgia? Make this game come back to life. Make friendships and live through your childhood game. Spread this word across every Royale High game." So it kind of became a mini movement that worked pretty well. I also think that daily players noticed the spike and started joining in. So the player count grew and grew. And of course, I decided to join as well. Not only to see if the code rotting situation was as bad as people were making it out to be, but I also wanted to experience Campus 2 with a full server. And I'm not gonna lie, I get the hype now. I've always seen players say Campus 1 and 2 were peak Royale High, but since I never got to play it during its glory days, I basically missed out. Now that I've played it during the revival, I can honestly say that it's peak. It makes me sad to know that I missed out on the early years of Royale High. Now obviously, Campus 2 has more of an OG Roblox vibe and aesthetic to it, but it's actually kind of endearing. The classes that I found the most fun were baking, PE, art class, and the ballroom. This is definitely a game that I would have enjoyed a lot as a little girl. But even so, now as a fully grown adult, it's still very enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Campus 3 and 4, well, to a certain extent. But something about the OG maps just give me this feeling of whimsy. I'm honestly happy that the developers decided to keep all the realms instead of removing them over the years. If any former Royale High players are watching, I recommend y'all hop back on to Campus 2 just to see what the hype is about. To finish off talking about Campus 2, the only glitch I experienced was this one. It seems like the main bugs that people were talking about were fixed recently. Anyways, I decided to visit the other realms that people said were code rotting. First, I visited Divinia Park, which did have some glitches here and there. I'm not sure if these already existed before the code rotting trend started, but I did notice that when you eat food in this realm, it goes under the table rather than on top. And then I tried the swing to see if it was still glitching. At first it seemed fine, but then I got off it and it started doing this. Besides those two things, everything else was fine. Next I went to the apartments. Now it seems like the music track got removed because I didn't hear any while I was playing, but it's true that the apartments are still in the Christmas season. Honestly, it's kind of whatever, but if they made the change, that would be nice. Otherwise, everything works well in the realm and I didn't experience any issues. And lastly, I went to Sunset Island. I didn't experience any glitches whatsoever this time, and I didn't glitch into the floor like I usually do. I also didn't get flinged across the map like some videos were showing on TikTok. To be fair, I do think the developers went in and fixed a few things because the code rotting convo got pretty big, which also led them to responding to the backlash. The Royale High Twitter account posted, "Just going to address the elephant in the room regarding the idea that Royale High is code rotting. Rest assured, we still have developers actively monitoring bugs and working on fixes. We did see an increase in reports involving older realms this week, and while most of the team isn't operating at full capacity just yet, i7 has already rolled out several patches so players can continue enjoying the nostalgia of the classic realms, which until recently didn't have many active players. There have also been some back-end Roblox system updates that have impacted the game, so we appreciate your patience as we work through these issues. There are always fixes and patches happening behind the scenes, including a recent major crackdown on bots and exploiters. Right now, it simply hasn't felt appropriate for us to post as frequently or push anyone to work on low priority bug fixes, as members of the team are grieving from a recent major loss of a loved developer on the team. But we want to reassure everyone that we truly care about the game and this community. We are always working to improve the experience and make Royale High better. Honestly, with everything going on right now with the Royale High team, I do feel like people should be more understanding, patient, and empathetic. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who don't care and can't read the room. Right under this tweet, someone commented, "Talk about passive aggressive, this is why your game is dead." Royale High responded saying, "We understand why some people might read our clarification as passive aggressive, but we'd rather be direct than stay silent while misinformation spreads. Protecting our public image is not the current priority. Our players and our team are, hoping to come back even stronger." Now look y'all, I know the game hasn't felt the same since before 2023, and there's still a lot of issues that need to be addressed. But I feel like right now isn't the time. All we can do at the moment is to report the bugs that are in the game and wait for them to get fixed. It does feel a bit overdramatic to make videos pointing out bugs and then framing it as the developers don't care anymore when that's not the case. I know it's kind of a trend online to doom posts, especially since it gets a lot of traction and engagement. However, using the term code rotting doesn't fit the situation in my opinion. When I first heard about this, I thought the whole game was falling apart. Like, I thought it was completely unplayable. But it's literally like the smallest things ever. For instance, the food getting stuck on the cafeteria tables in Campus 2, and the male bathroom door opening when you're playing as a female character, which, like, honestly, who cares? I guess what I'm trying to say is, I wish people were more empathetic towards the devs. You don't have to agree with or support every decision they make, but right now, just be patient and try to understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Even though the code rotting conversation went overboard, some good did come out of it. So many Royale High players are happy that Campus 2 has players again, and like I mentioned earlier, it's actually really enjoyable. I'm hoping more players join to keep the nostalgia alive. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Due to the holiday this past Monday, I am a little bit behind on video making, but the goal is to have another one out by the weekend. But enough of that. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this situation. Do you think Royale High is code rotting? Or do you think people are being over dramatic? Also, let me know in the comments which campus is your favorite. Okay, bye. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, bye. See you. Bye.